Halloween festivities in Seoul's Itaewon neighborhood became a deadly disaster late Saturday as crowds surged into a narrow sloping alley, killing and injuring hundreds. At least 154 people have died, of whom 26 were foreign nationals and 132 were injured as of Sunday evening, according to the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency and Seoul Fire and Disaster Headquarters. Included in the foreign nationals who died were people from 14 countries, including Iran, Uzbekistan, China, Russia, and Norway. Police estimate some 100,000 people gathered Saturday in Itaewon, a district in central Seoul known for its nightlife, in what was the first Halloween since pandemic restrictions were ended. Last year, private gatherings had to be kept to less than 10 people, and bars and restaurants had to close by 10 p.m. At around 10:40 p.m., the crowd surged into a narrow alley, leaving people stuck there for about an hour and a half. As hundreds found themselves trapped in the tight space of the alley, many of those who could not get out died of suffocation. Follow us for the following images to see why so many people died in the alleyway at Itaewon. Update: the latest information on the disaster stranded in Itaewon, South Korea. The hip alleys of Itaewon were once considered one of the main destinations in Korea to celebrate Halloween. As people gathered there to enjoy the annual event before the COVID-19 pandemic hit the nation 3 years ago. With nightclubs, bars, and restaurants packed tightly together, Itaewon was a popular place for culturally curious Koreans to easily mingle with people from different cultures and ethnic backgrounds. The emergency call started coming in at 10:24 p.m. on Saturday, reporting the tragedy which happened in a narrow sloped alley immediately west of the Hamilton Hotel. The alley, 41 meters long and only 4 meters wide, barely enough room for 6 adults to stand side by side, runs between Itaewon's main thoroughfare and another busy alley called Itaewon World Food Street, running behind the hotel. The narrow and steep alley turned into the site of an unfortunate disaster on Saturday night. A popular nightlife area for foreigners and Koreans in Seoul's central Yongsan district, Itaewon has often seen huge crowds, especially around Halloween, when costume-wearing revealers fill the alleys throughout the area. But this latest Halloween saw even larger crowds than before. According to one witness at the scene who survived, the crowd density reached the point where people were completely stuck in one place. According to one rumor, people were rushing to see a celebrity at one of the establishments in the area. Shortly before the incident, one survivor reported hearing people screaming. Grieving videos of the event went viral on social media at breakneck speed. The footage shows people, mostly teenagers or in their 20s, being herded into an alley so narrow and steep that they can't move. Then they started being pushed in all directions. Some were dragged to the floor, others could not breathe. Next, a wave of panic spread as an uncontrollable mass of people swarmed into a narrow alley in Itaewon. According to reliable information, the crowd was trapped for 40 minutes and piled up like dominoes in such a violent commotion that their clothes were ripped off. The situation turned dangerous when people in the middle of the crowd tripped, turning other people next to them and causing a domino effect. Due to the incline of the road, the crowd pressed more heavily on those downhill, and people piled on top of others, as many as 5 to 6 people deep. The pressure caused many lower down to have difficulty breathing and lose consciousness. Clips show crowds so packed that they can't move. Some tried to climb out to safety. Desperate bystanders help paramedics perform CPR on the victim. A long line of victims in body bags on the sidewalk. Some people were posted showing rescuers trying to pull people away to free them from the trapped crowd. Rescuers and police officers attempted to free people trapped in the pile, but the accumulated weight of the bodies made their attempts futile for a while. Witnesses said that onlookers shouted at those on top to pull back to save the people underneath. But some in the crowd misunderstood it as push and did what they heard, prolonging the predicament. A video shot by an eyewitness from higher up in a nearby building shows a policeman struggling unsuccessfully with the arms of one of the trapped victims. The woman recording the video can be heard sobbing and saying, "Oh my God, the body is not moving at all." All the employees from the shops nearby came out and helped rescue people. Another witness said it was truly chaos. Early reports claimed that a crowd had trampled one person. Emergency workers and ambulances from Yongsan Fire Station and other nearby fire stations arrived at the scene much later than usual because of the vehicular and foot traffic in the area. Almost 300 people ended up suffering breathing problems after the victims were finally freed. The streets and alleys around Hamilton Hotel and in the vicinity of the scene were packed with rescue workers performing CPR on dozens of unconscious victims. But the victims outnumbered the emergency workers available at the scene. Workers and bystanders who decided to help out carried the bodies of those they couldn't resuscitate to the ambulances. Firefighters ran around the area giving CPR to people. One of the survivors said it was like a war zone. Witnesses described a horrifying scene as people performed CPR on the dying and carried limp bodies to ambulances, while dance music blared from colorful clubs. Lit with neon lights, others tried desperately to pull those trapped at the bottom of people's hearts, but often fail because too many people fall on top of them. Most of the victims were women in their 20s. The youngest has been identified as 16 years old. Many foreigners were also in the crowd. Those who needed immediate treatment were transported to Sunchan Hyang University Hospital, the nearest large-scale hospital, and 14 other medical centers across Seoul and Gyeonggi Province. Because the scene following the accident was so crowded with victims, rescuers and onlookers, phone and internet reception were temporarily out of service in the area. All emergency workers available in Seoul at that time were called to the scene, with about 1,700 workers and over 140 ambulances responding. Family members of the victims arrived at the scene where many received the tragic news. Yonsan-gu, the district where the accident occurred, was declared a special disaster area, and subsidies will be paid to bereaved families and those who were injured. As the number of deaths escalated overnight, President Yoon Suk-yeol and the presidential office responded by convening several emergency meetings and giving messages to the public. Yoon made an unscheduled address on Sunday morning, ordering all related ministries and agencies to make every effort to promptly provide aid to the victims. He called the crowd crush the night before a tragedy and a disaster that should not have happened. The ruling and opposition parties declared a truce in their bitter wrangling over multiple issues and voiced their will to work together to deal with the unprecedented accident and take measures against the bereaved families. It was South Korea's deadliest disaster since the Seoul ferry sinking in 2014 that killed more than 300 people. The recent information also ended today's video. We will constantly update the latest information on the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video to support us. The video ends here. Thank you for watching the whole video. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.